In this part, what I want to do is look at UV mapping a sphere, and to make it a bit more interesting, I'm going to make it into something that looks like something, because the thing I've chosen is spherical, a beach ball. So we're aiming for these 6 coloured segments and a coloured bit at the end essentially, so it's fairly straightforward. I'll create a sphere, the default sphere, and see whether that's going to suit us. So we need to make sure that if we go round, we're going to be able to segment this top area into 6 components. So the default one's not going to help us here, so we'll just get rid of that and use the options on the sphere, and we need a number that's divisible by 6, so 18 for example, and I'll increase the number of slices so we can get a smaller circle at the top. So that now is ideal for segmenting. So we'll just go straight into UV mapping and look at ways of splitting this up. So if it's 18, 6 goes into it 3 times. So I'll go around as I did before, selecting those 3, then press G, go to face mode, right click and assign those to AU chart 1. Then select the top vertex, press I for identical, switch to face, so that means the top and the bottom selected, and give that chart 2, and then I'll continue unfolding. So there I've got my segments and the top sections. So at this stage I want to be able to create a texture, so right click, create texture, and in the options for draw edges I'm going to select draw the border edges, and I'm going to increase the edge width to 3. The reason for doing that is I want to flood fill these shapes, so I don't want any gaps around the edges, so I'll just do that. And you can see that they've come a bit too close together, so if I go scale and uniform, I'll just bring them in a bit and then recreate the texture. The option I'm using for the background is just a white there, so those are the 2 options available, and the size is arbitrary at the moment. So that's created some gaps between them, and I should have got lines around the outside. So I'll close that and select this texture component and make it external. I'm going to save it as a standard bitmap because I don't want any anti-aliasing as a result of turning it into a JPEG. Now I'll just load that into PaintShop Pro 8, and you can see I've got these outlines, and hopefully, you see there's a problem there. The outline, even though I drew it at thickness 3, there's a little gap in it. So there doesn't seem to be any other gaps anywhere else, so when I flood fill this I might find that it just flood fills everywhere. So I just need to fix that gap, which I can just put something in, paint something in. There we go. And there, that's sorted that out. Now flood fill everything with the black. So just flood fill these shapes, and it's not spilling out, that's a bonus. And now flood filled up to the fully black edge. If I fill it with colour, so I'll just choose some arbitrary colours for these faces. I don't know which face is aligned which part of the object. I've got to choose magenta. Oh, and that could be white, so I didn't really need to bother with filling those in anyway. And then just go File and Save, go back into Wings, and at this point right click on that and refresh. That'll bring in my UV map texture. So the other thing I might consider is that now I've made this, it's not really quite round enough that you can see that it's faceted. So if I use do Sabian subdivision, for example, you can see horrible things happen, or weird things at least, with the UV mapping. Control Z. However, if I use just smooth, so press S for smooth, I can smooth the shape off, and that does a lot better job. This top edge now is looking a bit wiggly. I can sort that out. Just select that edge there, the bottom edge is the same, and press L for loop, right click and circularize, so that's straightened that up. And so now I've got my beach ball with appropriate texture and material applied. The next question then is, what about exporting it? Because we've not done that yet. So what I shall do is go File and Export Object, and if I save it in the same folder where the UV map image is, it doesn't seem to have a problem, so I'll call this beach ball and save that, and then we'll bring it into Octane and just have a quick look at it and see how it looks. So node import waypoint object beach ball, and hopefully it will pick up the appropriate UV map. So there we go, that's worked fine. So no problem there, fairly straightforward, and managed to do the video in under 10 minutes. How's that?